In this video, I'm going to be doing the weaving bit of the woven wooden screens. This is part 3 of the series I've been doing, and hopefully this will be the end of it, and then I get to show you the finished piece. But we'll see how we go. G'day, my name's Stuart Chignall. Welcome to Chestnut and Hag. Yeah, this has been a big, huge, long, drawn-out project because I got sick in the middle of it, and it just took forever. But finally, I think I'm going to be finishing it today. Well, in this video. Maybe not today. But anyway, let's get into it. There's 2 parts to this weaving. There's the bottom section, which is going to be quite quick and sturdy. It needs to be quick because it's such a large area, so it doesn't take so long. And it needs to be sturdy so that things bumping into it or the dog jumping up on it won't destroy it. Whereas the top section, which will go here, will be more decorative. Now, the first part we're going to do is put in place what would be called the warp, or the verticals if we were weaving with yarn. Now, I've got this first one in, and you can see there's a mortise hole there and there. That's actually going to be pinned because these spans are quite long. So we're going to pin a piece in the middle and tie it together, whereas the bits that go here are just going to be push fitted in. Right, so we've got to get the length right. So what I'm going to do is take it over to the end and mark that just there. Add the depth of the bottom groove and then the addition of the depth of the top groove. So that's where I'm going to cut it off. Now I could do this next bit with all sorts of care and precision, but that wouldn't be fun, and then I wouldn't be able to get to call this video making wooden screens with an axe. Doing it this way might not be as precise, but it means I get a bit more of a kind of chamfer on it, and I think that will work better. So I just got 8 more to go. Now to fit them in place. Now with all the verticals in, we're ready to start weaving. Now this job is much easier if you've got someone who can help you. And fortunately I have a willing assistant. Take that round over the top of the frame on the back there. Yeah, that'll do. Now it's easier physically to do this if you've got help. It might not be mentally easier, because one person can push and then the other person can thread. All right? You gonna help me or what?
Oh, you ready? Yeah. I was enjoying playing with
Now you might be tempted to fit this end into the groove, but it's better to actually go past and fit it later, because as you start weaving these pieces in and as the wood settles, it'll bend, and therefore it'll kind of, well, the length of the wood doesn't shrink, but as it moves around these, more length is taken up, and so therefore if you rely on you pushing it into here, what can actually happen is that it'll actually start coming back this way as more length gets taken up the length. So best thing to do is when you're fitting these in, is have them sticking out both ends. Right. Now this is getting harder.
Right. Oh!
Did it bite you? Right. Did that hurt? Maybe. Okay. Now, if you don't have a willing assistant, if you don't have a willing and able assistant, this is a technique that you can use to make the job a bit easier. And even if you do have a willing able assistant, so their fingers don't get bitten, like just happened to Sarah then, This is also a useful technique.
Other bit.
There's a lovely background in the shot just there. But anyway, I'm just going to mark this here and there. Now it's at an angle, so that, you know, is going to make a difference. But what I want to show you is how much this moves relative to this as we push it down. Can you push your end down?
Oh!
So annoying. Look what she did. Bull in a china shop, and she's broken the lathe because she pushed it down too fast at one end. And she's not even got the good grace to look embarrassed.
You know, good help and everything.
It's hard to bloody find. Anyway. Ow! 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 You can see here how much those marks have moved, and they've gone a good centimetre to this way. Now, and that shows that when you're moving these things around, how much they can slip and slide to the left and right. So if you've cut this off before you've pushed it around, then you can suddenly have this hanging free at this end. And so it's always have an overlap of both ends so that you can fit them in afterwards once everything's been cut and everything's been pushed down.
Ow!
Did you get a splinter?
No. Does it mean another week with you?
Shut up!
Oh, sorry. Take it back.
Ah!
Oh, we're doing surgery on you? That'd be better.
This one is. As you get to the end, it gets harder.
You did
Damn
that.
it!
Look at how much shorter it is.
Shut up! I got a longer one now. Ow! Now before you go trimming off the lathe, I'd recommend that you let it sit for a while. The horizontal pieces, or what we call the weft, is going to flex and deform around the stiffer vertical pieces, the warp. And as it does so, more length is going to be taken up as the pieces move backwards and forwards around those verticals. And that means that from our perspective, they're going to shrink. And so if you trim them off flush exactly where they need to be as soon as you finish weaving them in, you're probably going to come back later and find this problem. So yeah, let it sit for a while before you trim them off. In fact, even what would be a good idea is let it get rained on once or twice, or hose it down, wet it, because that'll aid with the process of it settling in to the woven structure you've just put those pieces in, and then trim them off. You want to make sure it's square before you start trimming. That's pretty good. Now the easiest ones to trip off first are these, because they're sitting out. Right, now you need to get those inside the groove, and so just give it a bit of a flex, bend it in, and it should just slip home nice and easily. Now, problem. As I was putting this one in, it slipped and slid this way, so it's now only just in that groove. So we've got to fix that. So I'm going to get a piece there so this is in the groove, and then push it through from the other end. There. Now this is where having a bellied Ryoba would be really handy. Like I've got one, but it's a bit too chunky for this job. Well, I was hoping that this was going to be the last video in the series, but I think this is a good time to stop, and we'll come back with another video which will be focusing on the top section, which will be more decorative and a slightly more complicated weaving process that'll look really pretty. But anyway, I hope you enjoyed, and I will see you guys in the next video. Very close to completion now, and I'm really looking forward to getting this project done and getting some more stuff, other stuff happening, because I've got 6 boxes of stuff arriving from Japan this week. So stay tuned for the unboxing videos, and I'll catch you guys soon. Bye bye. Oh, that was a good one. Ow! Ow!
Oh dear. Lucky. Oh dear.
I was unarmed.
I was already in for the swing.
Oh, that is rubbish. You're in so much trouble.
I'm always in trouble.